Love, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction, narrated and written by Janet Bonilla. This is the fifth part to a slow reveal, so if you haven't already, go ahead and check out the playlist for the previous parts. And other than that, please leave a like and I hope you enjoy. Marinette gently fell on Adrien's shoulder, getting a little sleepy while watching movies on her laptop. Adrien smiled at her and shut the computer before her mom came into the room, abruptly waking her up again. Marinette, sweetie, I think Adrien needs to watch the news. It's very important. Sabine came into the room with worry in her voice. Marinette and Adrien looked at each other confused. What's wrong, Mom? They hurried downstairs to look at what had happened. Adrien and Marinette sat on the couch, listening tentatively as Sabine rewinded the TV news. Don't be bemused, it's just the news. I'm Nadia Shamak, bringing you our latest news. Today, we find out who Hawkmoth really is behind the mask. On the left-hand side of the screen was a mugshot of Gabriel Agreste. Beside it was another picture of Hawkmoth. Everyone was surprised to hear that Hawkmoth was none other than Gabriel Agreste, fashion company owner and father of Adrien Agreste. Further news shows his assistant was also an accomplice. Adrien had a surplus of emotions and couldn't keep them in him, drowning out any other sound. Within seconds he was sobbing in his hands, yet angry at himself for not being able to tell, at his father for keeping the secret for so long and not telling him, at Natalie because she had helped him do such evil crimes. He just barely registered the sounds of the TV and could only feel the tight embrace coming from Marinette. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to say. His father was cold and reserved, maybe mysterious sometimes, but he was not evil. Adrien sat there for what felt like hours, crying and thinking about all the chances he had to reveal his father's identity. When he found the book in his mother's painting, when Hawkmoth almost made Adrien into gooey camembert during Godzilla, there were hundreds of questions running through his mind. How? How did he not see it before? Why? Why had his father committed to getting the Miraculouses of Ladybug and Chat Noir for so long? What was he planning to do with them if he had ever gotten them? Is this why he was akumatized into Chat Blanc? He didn't remember anything of it, but Ladybug told him about it eventually. Gabriel Agreste put Adrien through so much pain. Was it all for nothing? Or did he achieve what he wanted? Maybe your father had a reason for all this chaos, Marinette finally said. Adrien had normally appreciated her optimism, but now was not that time. No, he doesn't deserve to be called my father. After everything he put me through, after everything he put us through, Adrien scowled. The tears running down his face felt like acid on his skin. And whatever his reasoning was, he shouldn't have put me through so much danger. Oh my gosh. What about when he was the collector? It was all just a big scheme to trick us, Adrien belted, making his eyes flood even more tears out. All Marinette could do was lean in as a big spoon, which was rather hard considering she was shorter than him, while he sat there, crying his eyes out. Marinette cared for him, though. She would sacrifice her own comfort if it meant comforting him, the love of her life. Adrien was now in Marinette's bed, snuggled into her blankets, tissues all around him. He hadn't gone to school. Marinette had to, but she texted him what felt like every 10 minutes, checking up on him. He didn't answer the last one. He loved her, but was it possible to care too much for someone? He would be okay. It would take a lot, like an unhealthy amount of therapy and some cuddles, but he would be just fine. Outgoing text to Marinette. I'm okay. Don't worry. I don't want you failing that history exam. Goodbye. After tweaking his text a bit, he sent it. And send. You think that'll stop her from worrying? Adrien asked Plagg as he took out another wheel of camembert from what seemed to be nowhere. Worrying? Probably not. Texting? Maybe, Plagg said in return. How are you doing, though, kid? Finding out your father is a supervillain is not something I'd particularly want to find out. Plagg looked at him sadly. Do you want some camembert? It always makes me feel better. The Kwame held up his cheese. Aw, Plagg. Thanks for trying to cheer me up. He hugged the little Kwame. Adrien, I am the Kwame of destruction. I don't like hugs, Plagg yelped, pulling back. You sure about that? Adrien snuggled the Kwame to his cheek, making him purr. Everyone has a soft side, Plagg. Adrien left Plagg alone at last, going to sleep so he could temporarily escape the emotions that came with having a supervillain father. Marinette was looking at her recent text while walking to lunch with Alia and Nino. You think I said it too early? Did I misread his heart emoji? He didn't respond. I shouldn't have said it while he just found out his father was a supervillain. Actually, you know what? If anything, that's why I should. Marinette worried while Alia cut in. Relax, Marinette. He's probably just cried himself to sleep. This has got to be the close to the worst news he's ever gotten, don't you think? It still says delivered, doesn't it? Alia said, trying to calm her down. Marinette looked back at her phone, then nodded. See, you're fine. Don't worry about it. He'll call you back later. Somehow that only made Marinette worry even more. She tried not to show it, though. Oh, okay, I guess you're right. Thanks, Alia. They sat down at a table before she asked for Tiki's advice. What do you think, Tiki? Marinette whispered to her Kwame. I think Alia is right. You have nothing to worry about, Marinette. Tiki encouraged her. She sighed, paying attention to Alia and Nino now. You think I should have called him instead? I tried last Friday night, but he didn't pick up, so I assumed he was asleep or something. Maybe if I had told him sooner, he wouldn't be in so much pain. Nino panicked, even more than Marinette did. Calm down, babe. I'm sure Adrien will forgive you. Alia rubbed his back soothingly. What happened? Why would Adrien need to forgive him? Marinette asked curiously, overhearing him say he called Adrien last Friday, which got her attention because she was with Adrien last Friday. And if he needed to tell Adrien something important, she didn't want to intervene. Go ahead, Nino. We can trust her. She's my best friend, Alia said, not knowing Marinette was a superhero herself. Okay, well, I'm Carapace, and while we were fighting Hawkmoth, I found out his identity before everyone else. By accident, of course. You what? Marinette didn't say specifically what she was surprised about, but they could tell that it was not because he was Carapace. You... wait, how did you find out Hawkmoth's identity? She sighed, pressing her hand to her forehead in hopes of understanding what he just said. Aren't you surprised that he's Carapace? Alia put in curiously. Oh, what? Wow, OMG, that's super cool. Marinette only tried hiding it for another minute or so before Alia questioned her again. Okay, quit it. What's really going on? She tilted her head in confusion. Oh, well, obviously I'm gonna be surprised to hear that Nino knew who Hawkmoth was for like a week. Why didn't you tell Adrien before? Marinette exclaimed, a bit more mad than she thought she'd be. She was trying to stall so that she didn't have to tell them just yet. Chill, Mare. If you knew who Hawkmoth was, would you tell right away? Alia put in. I suppose not, but I definitely wouldn't wait a week, Marinette tried to rebuttal. That isn't fair to Adrien. Man, if Marinette had this reaction, I don't want to imagine his. Nino was now bursting with nervousness. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm infuriated. Adrien, on the other hand, will forgive you. Don't worry, she breathed. You really think Adrien will forgive me, Marinette? Nino asked. Of course. He's a sweet and loving guy. Maybe he'll be shocked at first, but he won't get mad or anything. See, Nino, Marinette probably is the only other person who knows Adrien as well as you do. So if she says you're good, chances are you're good. She's kinda right, though. For a week, Alia calmed Nino down too. She didn't like seeing her boyfriend all freaked out. You're right, Al. Thanks for calming me down. And thank you too, Marinette. Nino planted a kiss on Alia's forehead, pulling her into an embrace. Can we talk about superheroes now? Nino looked at Alia. Don't you think it's even a tad cool that I'm a super dude? Yeah, and I'll have you know, I'm Rena Rouge, Alia retorted dramatically. I mean, I guess now's a better time to tell you than ever. She looked at them nervously before whispering to them that she was Ladybug. They continued talking, unable to believe her. Alia and Nino's faces going from excited to shocked and back to excited when she continued to tell them that she was also Multi-Mouse. Adrien, your love bug, said she loves you, and you didn't even reply. Plagg teased him. Adrien was half awake and half asleep, so it was a surprise to hear. What? You're kidding. Adrien jolted up and looked at the lit-up screen Plagg was playing with. Oh man, it was sent hours ago. She must be panicked. Adrien felt bad, but he would make it up to her later. Do you? Plagg asked, knowing what his answer would be. Of course I do. How is that even a question? Adrien piped at his Kwame. You know what, though? It's better to say it in person. Ooh, you're gonna make her blush? Plagg cooed. Just a little, Adrien chuckled. Adrien, are you still here? Marinette called with a squeakier voice than usual. Adrien went downstairs to greet her. Hey, Marinette, he yawned, clearly right out of bed. How was school? He asked her, trying to seem unaware of her texts. It was good. Did you get my texts? Marinette asked him casually. No. What did they say? Adrien asked, taking his phone out. He was trying to seem as oblivious as ever. Oh, it wasn't anything important. Marinette laughed nervously, taking his phone away from him. Let's go study for the exams. You're not going to catch up by doing nothing. She tried steering the conversation elsewhere as she pushed him into her room again. Okay, if we hurry, we can squeeze in some macaroons before bed, he suggested, following her to her room. Sure, that's only if you do a good job of studying, though, kitty, she teased. Adrien looked up from his book to see Marinette looking a bit drowsy. Maybe that's enough studying for you? Adrien looked at her, closing his textbook. Yup, probably, she said, sleepy, laying her head on the desk. Marinette was getting tired, mostly because she told Alia and Nino that she was Ladybug and Multimouse, so she had to follow up with them and also talk to Adrien about it so he doesn't get nervous or lie to them when they bring it up. How about we cuddle instead, princess? He said coyly. I'd like that, she yawned quietly, wrapping her arms around his and leaning on it. I'm getting sleepy anyway, aren't you? I think I've already had plenty of sleep for today. Adrien carried her to the chase, covering her with the blanket. Then what are you gonna do? She asked, getting comfy on the chase. I'll probably just be studying some more. Adrien paused a moment, waiting until she was just barely awake before continuing. Oh, and Marinette? Yeah? She gave him a just barely audible answer. I love you too. He smiled, giving her a kiss on the cheek before making his way out of the room. I think I'll actually help myself to those macaroons. He winked before closing the door and leaving. Wait, did you hear that too, Tiki? Marinette bolted her eyes open in surprise. Yes, he just told you he loves you, Marinette. Tiki flew up out of the drawer and hugged her cheek enthusiastically. Marinette's cheeks were as red as Nathaniel's hair. She fell back and fell asleep with a smile on her face. Maybe they weren't out of the woods yet, especially Adrien. But all that mattered was that they loved each other through this unimaginable time.